It's hard not to feel concerned right now with so many conflicts happening across the world. Even when we try and focus on other things, each news cycle reminds us of the harsh realities that many people are facing. Realities that most of us, thankfully, can't even begin to imagine. With all that's been unfolding in the Middle East recently, I've felt the need to say something. But what is there to say, really? What can anyone say? As I've been reflecting on this over the past few weeks, I've also been dealing with some personal challenges that have caused my wife Louise and myself a lot of stress and a few sleepless nights. I don't need to get into the details, but as a Christian, whenever I'm troubled, my instinct is to stop and to pray, and that's exactly what I've done. Honestly, it felt like the only thing I could do at times. But this time it feels somehow different, because in comparison to the images I see on the news each night, my own struggles seem so insignificant. At times, I've even felt guilty for being so wrapped up in my own concerns when others are going through far worse. How do I make sense of that? It feels selfish. But the truth is, what's happening in my life affects me, and it's only natural to think about those things. The Bible tells us over and over again that God cares for each one of us personally. Matthew 10 verse 30 says that even the hairs on our head are numbered. Romans 8:28 reminds us that God works for the good of those who love him. And 1 Peter 5 urges us to cast all our anxieties on God because he cares for us. There are many verses like these, and they reassure me that God cares about each of us individually. But if I'm being completely honest, this is a bit risky when I'm doing a talk like this. It also raises questions for me. How do I reconcile this personal care with the immense suffering in the world, and at times suffering in my own life? I don't have all the answers. In fact, I have very few answers when it comes to understanding suffering. But I have to trust that God knows and cares for me, and that I don't need to feel guilty about praying for my own situation, even when I'm at times praying for those things I see in the news. God is big enough to care for us all. If he were limited in his care, he wouldn't be a God worthy of my devotion. And if I could understand everything, then the truth is I wouldn't need him at all. So I'm going to continue to do what I've done many times in the past, to pause, to reflect, and to pray, because that is one thing I can do, trying to trust God even when I don't fully understand.